No. Obviously the answer is no. Is this even a question? That's literally Batman's whole thing. Besides the extreme dedication of Bat-themed gear, everyone knows him for his no-killing rule. Are there seriously people who think Batman should kill? Really? Oh, okay, let's roll the clip and see what he has to say.
So Batman can't kill is canon. And I'm like, okay, well, the first thing I want to do when you say that is I want to see what happens. And they go like, well, don't put him in a situation where he has to kill someone. That's just like, you're protecting your God in a weird way. You're making your God irrelevant.
Oh, no. Okay, buckle up, everyone, because this is going to be a long one. It's come to my attention that people genuinely think Batman is more interesting and relevant when he kills, which is insane to me because that's just not Batman. It's a fundamental core characteristic of his to never take a life, and if you remove that from him, you've basically just created a new character. If you want to see someone who kills all their villains, go read The Punisher. But Batman is not the Punisher. He blames all of his crimes for what happened to him and takes that out on the underworld. Batman blames the world for what happened to him and tries to prevent it from happening again. It's an incredibly important part of who he is, and you'd be turning him into a different character if you made him kill. I don't think Snyder has ever understood Batman as a character, and that clip there should show you why. He's not interested in Batman as he is and wants to turn him into something he's not. Batman should not kill. But here's the thing, putting Batman into a situation where he's forced to kill is genuinely an interesting idea. It adds a sense of tension to the scene and makes the audience question if he's going to break his biggest rule. As a writer, you should be putting Batman into these kinds of scenarios all the time. The issue comes at the solution. Having Batman kill his way out anyways, that's just lazy writing. Part of what makes Batman such a great character is that he's a genius and always finds a way to win, despite just being a guy really into Bat cosplay. Abandoning his genius for shock value killing is boring and only does him a disservice. Batman figuring out a way to get out of these dangerous situations and not murdering is one of the most interesting things about him. Thinking that he's irrelevant because they're quote-unquote protecting their god is just untrue. They're just protecting the core of the character to make sure nothing changes that would harm his image and immediately turn fans away from this interpretation. Batman doesn't evolve by starting to kill suddenly when it's a trait that's defined him, and it certainly doesn't make him irrelevant. Imagine thinking that Batman of all characters is relevant. The same Batman who's so popular they made spin-off TV shows about his butler and car. He's more relevant than ever today, and a large part of the reason is how nuanced and layered his character is. It is a fundamental part of Batman to not have him killed, as it ties directly back into what inspired him to become a caped crusader in the first place. We all know Batman's origin, right? Movie theater, crime alley, gunshot, pearls, trauma, it's a tale as old as time. But that pivotal moment shaped not only his future, but redefined who he is as a person. After the tragedy that forever changed him, Bruce determined that the worst thing anyone could ever do is take a life. He knows the pain of losing loved ones more than anyone else and what it did to him. If he can prevent that from happening to anyone else, he will do anything to make sure of it. Batman's belief that all life is sacred is what makes him stand out from other characters who are willing to kill without hesitation. The survivor's guilt that came with watching his parents die in front of him gave him almost a second chance at life. He was kept alive for a reason in his eyes, and that's to prevent murders like that from happening again. No matter if it's something small scale or universe altering, Batman will always fight to preserve something as precious as a human life. He understands how fragile they are and how they can be taken away at any time, so why would he put energy into taking that away from people? Batman is someone who, despite his brooding personality, believes in reform and helping these people take advantage of the lives they were given, not waste them ruining other people's lives for selfish reasons. If he puts his energy into stopping crime and reforming them, he truly believes he can make the world a better place, one criminal at a time. It's a noble and hopeful aspect to the character that isn't appreciated enough. He wants to stop crime entirely, which is unfortunately an impossible task, but he's determined to do it anyway and dedicate his life to this battle. Even if he's only able to stop one crime from happening, Batman is someone who fights to uphold justice and all that it represents. Sometimes there's a little vengeance thrown in there when he's wrong, but one thing Batman is not is an executioner. He's not just going to go around deciding who gets to live and die. That's way above him. He's there to prevent bad things from happening to the people who don't deserve it. There are people who think that they're above the law and can get away with these horrid things, but he won't stand for that. It's why he uses all of his resources to try and make the city a better place. This is also, of course, why Batman doesn't use guns. It's the weapon that took everything from him and traumatized him as a child. A tool designed only to hurt others and destroy livelihoods. Why would someone who has seen firsthand the devastating effects of such a thing use it in their arsenal? Batman not using guns is just as important as his no-kill rule. They go hand in hand and are intrinsically linked to each other. Any mainline Batman adaptation where he uses guns has missed the entire point of the character and is a bad interpretation. Batman should never be using guns because they will always represent how his family was taken away from him. It makes no sense that he would suddenly use the tools of the enemy to fight crime when his whole thing is about justice his way. He's willing to cripple these horrible people to make sure they can't hurt again, but killing them and shooting them crosses that line to where he becomes the very thing he swore to destroy. Some versions of the character have also brought an interesting and darker reason to justify the no-kill rule, portraying it as a slippery slope. If Batman is able to justify killing one person, for whatever reason it may be, why stop there? Why not just kill any other villain in his rogues gallery causing trouble? It'll only get easier each time he does it until he isn't holding back at all. If Batman starts killing, he himself fears that he won't be able to stop. This is someone with infinite resources and contingency plans for everyone in his life. He's one step away from being a serial killer if he wanted to be, but he holds himself back. Not only is life too sacred of a thing, but he doesn't want to be an unstoppable and bloodthirsty killing machine. Batman has already taken the law into his own hands with his vigilantism, walking a very fine line between right and wrong. He doesn't need that push into doing the worst thing ever in his eyes. It's a take that makes Batman a lot scarier and leans into how crazy he is deep down, showing how dangerous he could be. That brings us to the biggest question when it comes to Batman. Why doesn't he kill the Joker? When a homicidal clown is out on the streets killing innocent people for a laugh, why doesn't Batman just end him once and for all? You'd think it would prevent him from killing who knows how many more in the future, but Batman never does it. It's a very common critique against the character, but it makes sense why when you think about it. Batman has been traumatized by killing, and he can never get past that trauma. No matter the person, he always stays true to his word because he physically can't bring himself to do it. It's the imaginary line he put for himself that he cannot cross at any point for any reason. Even if he thinks it'll make the world a better place, in Batman's eyes, a good person does not kill. He doesn't want to resemble the criminals who ruined his life, simple as that. He's often admitted many times that he wants to kill the Joker, but he can't do it. The Joker's entire motivation is that he's trying to push Batman to kill. All he wants is to break the Bat through increasingly more and more challenging scenarios. The two of them work so well as foils to each other because they represent two contrasting ideologies. Batman wants nothing more than to show that there's good in everyone and nobody's irredeemable. Joker, on the other hand, thinks that everyone deep down is like him and is one bad day away from insanity. The two have one of the most unique and special dynamics in all of comics. They're trapped in an endless battle of trying to change each other and prove their argument right, but neither are willing to kill the other. Joker is having too much fun tormenting Batman, which is kind of a beast move, while Batman's strict moral code will never let him kill the Joker. He can't let him win and destroy who he is or send him down a dark path full of killing. He won't murder the Joker because it's not who he is, and he still believes he can help him. Deep down beneath the clown makeup is a broken man, and Batman wants to help that person if he can. Batman not killing his villains is just part of the character, and it shows why he's such a great hero. The real question we should be asking is why hasn't the Joker got the death penalty yet? Or why a bum like Green Arrow hasn't gone out there and put an arrow between his eyes? Let's look at this as a storytelling mechanic, though. Obviously, it's a way to keep these iconic characters around long term, but most importantly, it makes Batman's stories so much more interesting. These stories can get boring when the hero just kills the villain every time, so adding the restraint in helps add tension. When you don't know if Batman is finally to be pushed over the edge or is put in a lose-lose situation, it immediately raises the stakes on an emotional level. You feel more when the situation is stressful, and it's more rewarding when the writer has to use creative storytelling to get Batman out of a situation without having to cross that line. Trapping a good man in an inherently evil city full of murderers is so much more interesting to me than having a killer ruthlessly clean up the city. I'm personally so over pessimistic and nihilistic media, I will always prefer a more optimistic take on things. It's much more compelling to have a hopeful Batman who truly believes in people and rehabilitation, and works better to me than someone who believes all evil must die. Also, not to go off on a tangent, but I hate the argument that all cinematic versions of Batman kill, therefore it makes it okay. Shut up! Do these people hear themselves? Not only is that just wrong, shout out to Pattinson and somehow George Clooney for being the only live-action Batman not to kill, but that just makes them all poor adaptations if they do. Just because other movies have done it doesn't suddenly make it okay when it still goes against what Batman represents. We need to be calling attention to those mistakes, and creatives have to make sure it doesn't happen again. Take a look back at Batman vs Superman, Snyder's pure vision for what this character should be, and how it handled killing. The movie has all the pieces to be a truly great Batman story, but fails in its execution. Batman killing shouldn't be the status quo for the character, but I'll admit there are times when it can be used in short-term instances to tell a compelling story. I can get behind the idea that Batman lost his way after Robin's death, leading him to start killing, as long as he comes around by the end of the film and realizes the error of his ways. Is it my first choice for what a Batman story should be? No, but I won't deny that in a one-off movie you can make something that's captivating out of it. The problem in BVS was that it wasn't explained very well in the film, as they never even acknowledged the killing happening and the movie suffers for it. It left me questioning what was happening, and frustrated to see the character casually smashing a guy's skull in or putting guns on the Batmobile. And hey, if that works for you, I'm happy for you. But it fell flat for me because that goes against everything he stands for and what I want to see him doing. Compare that with The Batman and how Matt Reeves handles the character. Not only does Pattinson's Batman go out of his way to avoid killing anyone, but he even makes sure to prevent others from making that same mistake. The scene where Selina is about to murder Falcone shows this so well. He stops her from making the biggest mistake of her life and crossing that line, directly telling her that he has to pay through the criminal justice system, and that she doesn't have to pay with him, that she's already paid enough. What makes this even better is that this is shortly after Bruce learned that Falcone may have had his parents killed. He could have easily let her kill him and not feel the weight on his conscience since he wasn't the one to pull the trigger, but he doesn't, because he can't let anyone become just as bad as a killer. He saves her from going down the path of vengeance that he escaped by getting in the way. He's something in the way. It's a beautiful scene that really resonated with me, and is exactly the kind of thing I think Batman should be doing. Helping and changing those around him by doing the right thing, and believing in true justice and reform. Not mindlessly killing anyone who gets in his way. That'd be a crazy thing to do. I mean, surely nobody would do that, right? Right? Killing criminals is an easy and cowardly way out that makes the world a more pessimistic place. When Batman makes the hard choice to bring them to justice and try and reform them, he's doing the right thing and going out of his way to help people who truly need it to make the world a better place. He's a beacon of hope for the citizens of Gotham to look up to as someone tries to clean the city up, but still scary enough to strike fear into the eyes of every criminal on reputation alone. Besides, it's much more satisfying for these terrible people to rot in a prison cell with every bone in their body broken than to get the easy way out and not have to pay for anything long term. It doesn't make him irrelevant like some may think, but is the reason that we all love the character and keep coming back to see him time and time again. Thank you all for watching. This is clearly a topic I'm very passionate about, so I hope you enjoyed. And if you're someone who disagreed with me at the start, maybe I was able to help convince you why this is the best version of Batman. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. If you don't, a terrible, murderous Batman will come for you in the night, so be careful. Not so interesting now, is he? I tried to warn you.